And welcome to the American.
Yeah, I'm here.
How you doing?
I was getting worried there.
Yeah, because I had you on mute. My fault. First day back.
That's all right. Yeah, well, I think I'm somewhat involved in this pedophile trying to bust these people. About 2 years ago, I had my grandson taken from my house without any reason whatsoever by CPS. I mean, they just came in and,
That's how they get them. CPS comes and takes them away, and then your children disappear, and nobody knows what happened to them.
Yeah, well, the thing is before they came and took my grandson out of my house, they searched him at the school for some reason. They never explained it to us. They searched him, strip searched him at the school, and sent him home. And when he came home, he had bitten his lip so hard he was bleeding from his lower lip. So when I called the school, to straighten everything out, they wouldn't say a word. And then I kept him home from school, trying to figure things out. And the following day, they came with 4 officers and 2 CPS agents and took my grandson out of my house with his lip still bleeding from the abuse that they gave him the day before.
So, what was going on? Was he? They didn't give you a reason. They just came and they took him. They didn't give an explanation. What was the reason that the CPS came and took the child?
They would never talk to us and give us a reason. I think is because they were trying to cover up to keep from getting sued, and so they took him in, and while he was in CPS, the judge, we went to the judge, and the judge figured out that they really screwed up, so that she released him back to us. But the CPS, because they didn't want to get sued, that's the only thing I can figure, they kept my son after the judge released him, and they screwed things up so bad that they kept him. They didn't release him back to us, and he was raped while he was in CPS. So then for sure they wouldn't release him because he'd been sexually abused. So now they popped him off to some other family. I'm not kidding you. That's the honest truth.
No, it's gut wrenching. CPS is very predatory now. I have a customer that comes into the pub by me, and she said that she did not want to vaccinate her child, but the school threatened with CPS that they would come and take her child away if their child was not up to date on her vaccines. And we all know that there's forms and things like that you can fill out for religious reasons. And, CPS, I did a story here. Let me pull it up for you, just to kind of piggyback on what you are talking about. Children missing, CPS, I think it was Oklahoma. This is an old article. Let's see, Rundown Live. Anyways, a whole bunch of children went missing. I believe it was in Oklahoma. I think it was 78 children missing. Yep, there it is. 78 children missing from Oklahoma Department of Human Services. And the Oklahoman reported that 78 children in custody of the Oklahoma Department of Human Services are missing. 38 of them have been missing for more than 3 months. Melissa Jones, Department of Homeland Security program supervisor, insisted, quote, "There is accountability, but keeping children from running away can be harder than it seems," end quote. Kim Baker, who formerly worked for the Department of Homeland Security in Oklahoma City, commented, quote, "I worked for DHS Child Abuse Center in Oklahoma City and for about 30 years, and I saw corruption then. I had to quit. I went to the state attorney for help because I was 19 and I didn't know where to turn to report the abuse, and nothing was done. I had to quit and not be part of it, end quote. And that's just it. It's like a game. It's like a game. I had one customer that comes into my pub, and this is important too because it's the same idea. He worked at a place that had 3 or 4 employees, and they would steal from their owner. And he said that every employee that worked there learned how to steal from the employer, and they're all part of it. And they would only promote other people that would steal from the employer because they're all making $800 a day selling naughty videos at a adult store. You know, they'd buy them used, they wouldn't inventory them, and you know everyone was part of the scam. And they only promoted people who were part of the scam, and nobody got caught. And I wouldn't doubt it's the same thing here, like at these psych wards. Like I had Todd Giffen on from the Oregon State Hospital where they abused them. And if you're not part of the abuse, you know what? You don't work there very often. And no one's going to listen to you because they all know that the abuse is going on. And when you report it, oh, they're going to say you're a crazy lunatic, or this children is just being irrational, or the children are running away. And how many people out there are so messed up on drugs when their kids are taken away, never get rehab, and then never see their children again nor care because they're addicted to heroin and other substances? And if you ask me, that's the prime specimen for harvesting, like an abortion clinic would call them, you know, and it's very disgusting. There's something really horrible going on in America, and especially when it comes to this child trafficking, because a large amount of children go missing every year.
Yeah. Well, the thing is most of my life I've worked heavily in law enforcement. Okay, I wasn't an employee of the state. I was a private contractor, and so I was kind of like one of the group, you know, trying to fight these bastards. And what's really disgusting is these people have infiltrated every sector of the government. And the sheriff's office is the highest office in the land. And I think what they're doing is they're intentionally putting people in these departments to mess them all up and mess up our law enforcement.
Well, no doubt there's...
Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. No doubt at some level law enforcement would have to be involved. In Wisconsin, I've heard rumors of child trafficking rings through Burlington, Wisconsin, using the underground caves. Mary Sutherland was investigating that. She used to be worried about, for her life just talking about it. They would have secret meetings, and they would try to go down there, and they would hear, children, or it was a really bizarre story. I don't know if there's any legitimacy there. So I don't want to be promoting Mary Sutherland, by the way, but she's been quoted on she's been on History Channel. She's a little out there. She ran a coffee shop, UFOologist. I'm not really into the whole UFOology thing, but sometimes people stumble upon inconvenient truths, and every topic needs to be investigated separately. And I understand there's credibility issues when you talk to somebody like that, but just because they believe in UFOs, which a lot of people do, including police officers, by the way, it's very important to look into these things. And it is disgusting, and it is gut-wrenching. And I don't know, I just literally, without throwing up in my mouth right now, I don't really know what to say, but how do we change it? You were working with law enforcement. You're from the inside, and these kind of abuses that go on. What is it? The Hollywood mentality? Is it that they just hire bullies who are easily bought off?
Well, first thing to do is in law enforcement is to give, especially the sheriff's office, more freedom of choice on what to do about the situation. The problem is the federal government is telling our sheriff's office what to do. It should be the exact opposite direction, because the sheriff's office is the highest office in the land. They should be telling CPS what to do. That's the problem.
Well, and now that's not the only program that is being vulturous in nature. There's a guardianship program in America where guardian programs where people sign away their parents to these institutions that are usually tied to Medicaid, and they bleed them dry. They steal their money. They literally prevent them from getting medication, so they die because they've literally are using their money, and because they become a guardian, you know what? That bank account becomes their responsibility, and they can buy themselves and anyone else whatever they want, and then all they have to do is make sure you don't get your dentures or medication, and they can say that, you know what, this person's insane, he's nuts, there's no abuse going on here, and this is happening right now in Canton, Ohio, really bad, all over the United States, and then they'll keep your parents, and then if you want them back as a guardian, it's impossible because the state's so involved in abuse with these elderly. Anyways, caller from California, I have someone on the line from Nevada as well. Is there any last comments you have here before I bring them on?
Yeah, I have a Google site that is really, I've been hard on this stuff for the last 2 years, and I just want to make sure that anybody that goes to that site knows that I'm not pointing out a whole group of officers. There's officers in the group that are part of it, and all I'm trying to do is get them to weed out these scumbags. And my website is SHE shared, SHEARD sheep, SHEEP. That's on Google.
All right, that's awesome, caller, and thanks for calling in. Send me that information. If you can send me in the Facebook post, American Intelligence Report, I'll try to include it in the liner notes. I always encourage citizen journalists, people that go and do their own research, and obviously you've been involved in law enforcement, and you have some good ideas how we can fix this by giving local sheriffs more jurisdiction and more ability to police things like CPS and police these organizations that are encroaching on our families' lives. I saw in one article where the parents had their child taken away because they smoked marijuana, and they were very functional, like they had good jobs, and the kid ended up in a felon's hand and died. And it was sad. It's just disgusting. CPS is a huge issue. We need to treat our children and our homeless better. We need to figure it out. Chris from Las Vegas, buddy.